and welcome to another episode of Maddie Wants to Know. In this episode, I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Michael Patrick Ryan. I just can't wait to show you guys because this interview was so fun. Hi, I'm Madison Akins, and today I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Michael Patrick Ryan. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Michael.
Thank you for having me, Maddie. I'm psyched to be here.
It's so awesome.
It's so awesome. I love it.
So I know you've done a lot of things on stage and on Broadway. So what are some of those things that you've done and some background information about you?
Well, I've done a lot of different shows throughout my life, whether it be, I'm originally from Boston, so I did a lot of community theater and did a lot of children's theater in Boston there. In college, I did a lot of great shows, and I performed on a cruise ship for a little bit, and that was a lot of fun. So and a very different thing to be performing on a ship and living on it for 7 months is quite a crazy commitment. And but I had a blast doing that. But I think probably the thing that I am most known for was being on the national tour of Newsies, where I was one of the Delancey brothers and understudied both Jack and Davy.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good stuff.
What show and what cruise ship did you do it on? I'm curious.
I was on the Carnival Glory, and we did 3 different shows while we were on there. We did a show that was all Motown music. We did a show that was all Latin music, and we did a show that was all diva-based music. So fun. We love it. And it was very cool. They had giant LED screens going behind us, and we had to use the in-ears, so I felt like I was a superstar. So it was it was a good time.
Well, I've been on a cruise ship multiple times, and every time you walk around, it feels like it's swishing.
Oh, and we had to have certain different versions of the show just in case the ship was too rocky.
Oh my gosh.
With the dancing, you could fall right over. You could fall right off the stage. Come on.
Well, I didn't know that different dances and everything. Wow.
Oh yeah, they were we're doing the Rocky version tonight, and when that happened, a lot of the dance moves changed. Not for me because I was more on there as a vocalist, but for the people who were doing the major dancing on the ship, they could fall right over.
Oh my gosh. So, where did you go to college, and how was the college audition process or application process?
Oh my gosh. I went to college at Pace University in downtown Manhattan, and went there for musical theater. And so I always say to any of my students who are going through the college audition process, it is one of the most stressful moments in your life, because for any student, applying to colleges is super difficult. You're already stressed because it's that first semester of your senior year. Your grades are super important. You're probably taking your SATs or ACTs again for one last time. And you have to fill out all these applications, write application essays, so much in this one semester. Then at the same time, add on having to do college auditions. It's just a very, very stressful time for someone at a very young age and who is just doing their best to be a teenager. But however, I will say, being out of that, I have yet to have a time in my life where I felt like there was too much going on. So it's definitely, once you're past it, you can breathe again. But for that month or so, it is rather stressful. As for the actual audition processes at the different schools, everyone kind of asked for something different. I also graduated some time ago. So I know now they even ask for different things, but when I was auditioning, I had to have 2 contrasting cuts of songs, and a few different monologues, some being a classical monologue and some being a contemporary monologue. And also some programs had a dance audition and some did not.
You said you went to Pace, where I found out that Miss Lindsay went to Pace too.
Yeah. Miss Lindsay was my college roommate for 2 years.
Serious?
Can you believe it? Yes,
Wow.
our first apartment as adults, we were living side by side. So Lindsay and I go way back. She's one
Wow.
of my besties. Oh yeah, and she's a great roommate. And you just imagine the shower concerts that were coming out of that apartment.
Everyone's all like, when are you gonna stop?
What? I'm in the living room harmonizing, and she's singing "Bring It On" in the shower. No, but she's awesome, and we have just remained such close friends. But we met in college, and a lot of my close adult friends were my college friends and classmates. So it's good because it gives you a community to come into this business with. And even though the theater community is a fantastic community to be a part of, sometimes you want the people who feel most familiar to you. And that was definitely my college group of friends. I'm very glad that all of us have kept connected.
That's awesome. So we were
Yay.
talking about some of the past. Speaking of the past,
The past.
when did you start your love for theater itself?
So I always loved theater. I did a lot of children's theater growing up, whether it be in summer camps or whether it just be school plays. But the first thing I did that was moment that I, got bit by the bug, as they say, was when I was in the third grade. I was cast in the high school production of the show Mame. So the show Mame is about this, it's a Jerry Herman musical. The music is fantastic. And it's about this woman in the 1920s who's single, and she lives a big party life, and she's very fabulous and all this glamour. And she finds out that her brother has passed away, and therefore she is now the guardian of an 11-year-old boy. So when I was in third grade, I played that 11-year-old boy with all these high schoolers, and I felt like the coolest thing ever because I was hanging out with all these high schoolers. And also, I come from a very musical family, so it was just kind of instinctual for me to have a knack for music, but getting to perform it in a theatrical setting was so exciting and so new to me. And yeah, from that moment on, I just loved it and did it whenever I could and wherever I could.
Well, when I started School of Rock and everything, I was actually one of the youngest, the second youngest, I'm pretty sure. Everyone was all, oh, hi.
Oh yes! Oh, that's the other thing too. When you have the cute factor, it's like you're like, oh
They
my
love
gosh, and they all
you.
think I'm so cute. They all come on, for anyone who loves attention, it's like the best kind of place to be because you're like, I'm not even trying, and they love me.
Yeah, I'm trying to get away from all this attention.
Oh my gosh, I just want to live a normal life.
I know.
No, but I definitely got bit by the bug. Then too. Was School of Rock your first on-stage situation?
Actually, I had one before that. It was Elf Jr. I was Charlie the head elf, so.
You'd be a good head elf.
It was awesome.
Yes.
Every time I get cast, I'm something in charge of something, because even in School of Rock, I was Summer Hathaway.
Which is, I bet you were fantastic.
Well, we had to stop before.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so I bet you will be fantastic whenever they pick it up again. You will, because you can play that part for the next few years too. You know what I mean? You're not going to age out of that for a hot second. So you will have many opportunities to be. Have you seen the movie School of Rock?
Yeah, I've seen the movie and the play.
The play is so. I didn't realize how much I was going to love that musical because I loved the movie and I grew up with the movie, and then I saw it on Broadway, and when I saw it on Broadway I was like a puddle. I think you put children singing in front of me and it makes me cry anyway, but especially when they're singing a song called If Only You Would Listen, I was like, you're right, we should listen to the children, they're the future. I'm just adjusting this.
Saddest song ever. Every time we try to do rehearsal of it, I'm all.
Honestly, I bet you were so funny working on that part, never getting to perform it, but you'll get it. You'll
It was kind of
happen.
sad,
It'll
but we'll get it
happen.
back.
Well, yeah, I know it's coming back. It's coming back.
So, back on the past, what kind of trainings have you done? It could be even closer to now.
Just like training in general.
Yeah, like it could be workshops, could
So
be classes.
let me tell you. Growing up, I didn't really have any formal training of any kind. I loved to dance, but I didn't take any dance classes. I loved to sing, but I never really took any voice lessons. And I loved to act, but I didn't even realize that acting classes were that much of a thing. What I did do is I did do a lot of theater camps, and I did do a lot of like school plays or after school theater. So I was always in at least one, if not two or three shows at a time. So I was just constantly going. And in a way, that is, in my opinion, some of the best training you can have is getting up and actually doing it. Now, when I got to college, which I was very lucky that I, without any training, got into some programs and was able to go to PACE. I realized how important actually having training behind you is, more than just the passion and the knack for it. For instance, that was where I really learned about my voice. I always loved to sing. It came naturally to me, but learning the technique of it, if I had started a few years before, I would only be more solid in my technique. That especially goes for dance. I consider myself to be a good mover. I can definitely keep up if put in dances, but I do not have the ability because I was never really trained and therefore didn't have the technique that came along with it. And I love to dance, and that is something that I'm like, man, if I could go back, no regrets, live life with no regrets. But if I could go back and to do it again, I would definitely get myself in dance classes earlier. But now, so at PACE, I did a bunch of fun classes. I took private voice for 4 years, which I still will take private voice every now and then as an adult because you can never stop learning. I took dance classes the 4 years I was there, and I took many different acting classes, as well as like voice and movement classes. And there's a lot of other classes that you'll take when you're in a program that will help you as an actor and as a singer and as a dancer that you might not even be aware of how it's helping you, but it is in some way or other. Then, this is kind of a funny story. When I got Newsies, so basically they were looking for the understudy. They had already cast the rest of the show. They were looking for the understudy. They brought me in. I sang and I read for them. I acted, and they were like, great. And I could tell they were like into it, and I was like, yes. And they were like, can you come back and dance? Now, if you know the show Newsies, that is like the dancer show.
That's what I was thinking when you said like I could keep up. I was like, oh, then how was Newsies?
Literally, when I tell you that I went into that dance audition and was just like, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to do the best I can. And thankfully, no, we were all kind of at the same level as dance, all like probably 12 guys that were in the room that they had called back to dance. Weren't the strongest of dancers, but were picking it up the best they could. And then when I got it, they called and said, we want you. You're going to be starting in September. At this point, it was June. And they said, but for the summer, you need to be in dance class at least 3 times a week. So for that entire summer, I took jazz, tap, ballet, theater dance. I even took a gymnastics class at one point just to get my body going. And it felt pretty ready. And when I got there, I definitely kept up, but I definitely was not one of the stronger dancers in the room because people who have been studying their whole life have just been prepared for it. And that is something that I admire so much because I love dancers and I love dancing. And Love it.
Well, we were like talking about trainings and stuff, and you
Hmm.
were also saying that being in like theater is really good, but if the kid was only allowed to pick one, singing, acting, or dancing, which one would be the best for Broadway in particular?
Okay, so um, I would say you should, if you could only pick one sort of training to go into, you should choose whichever one you enjoy the most. Because if you are, if you love to sing and you can only work on one of the three major skills to make a triple threat situation, um, then really focus on your voice, especially at such a young age. Why not uh, work on that? Or acting, if you want to learn the different techniques of acting, and go do it's so cool, and it's very interesting to see how different people have approached that art form. And dance for sure, like dance is a great thing to start at a young age. Now also, when you get into the business and you're auditioning, you will find that there are a lot more jobs and opportunities for dancers. Dancers are kind of because if you think about it, the ensemble is normally dance heavy, and therefore you need to be able to keep up dance wise to fill the ensemble. And there's far more ensemble tracks than there are principal tracks in a show, or, the major parts. However, that's not saying that, dance is the most important thing. I would say go and study the thing that you enjoy doing the most, and then take it from there. Because if as long as you are happy and love doing it, that's where you're going to succeed the most.
I like that advice so much.
Yeah, you do.
So, what has been your favorite environments that you've been in?
um, so I mean, of course, anytime I got to go on for Jack and Newsies was very cool. But I would say in college, I did the show The Who's Tommy, which is a rock show based off of the concept album by the band The Who. And it's a bizarre concept, but it's about a boy who witnesses a murder, and therefore he chooses to become blind, deaf, and dumb, so that he can't speak, hear, or see. And no one knows why he did this, but he also, and this is the crazy part, he also plays really good pinball. Yeah, that's like the catch of it. So if you ever hear the song, that deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays me pinball, that's from Tommy. And in Tommy, I played his like evil, sadistic, mean bully of a cousin.
Oh my
And that was
gosh.
so much fun to play, because I can't, I pride myself in being a very kind person, and and sort of get into the mind and try to figure out why this evil kid would do all the evil things he did so that I could justify his actions, was very cool and taught me a lot about being an actor. So I think that's probably my favorite thing I've gotten to do.
That sounds like crazy because I know you're such a kind person. And I'm all,
I know! I'm a ball!
So a lot earlier we were talking about the audition process for college, but how is the audition process for Broadway?
Um, it kind of all depends on where everyone's journey is different. So the audition process for like a professional type show can go a few different ways. If you are a member of the union, there's an actors union. And if you are a member of that union, you can go to specific auditions for shows that are looking, or maybe they're just searching for the future replacements. You can go there, and then if you get called back and normally that's just a casting director who sees you. there's a lot of different people who see you throughout the process. So normally the casting director will see you, and then they'll bring in the casting director and the like associate or assistant choreographer and director, and then maybe they'll bring in the actual director with each callback that they asked you to come back for. And I would say from my experience, normally you get like 3, 4, 5 callbacks normally before you get the job. However, apparently there are some shows that have just continued to call people back over and over again. One of those being, I heard this, I could be a rumor, I could be spreading rumors, but I heard one time they were looking for Mary Poppins on Broadway, and they called them back over 20 times. They really had to be sure that she was practically perfect, I guess.
Well, that is a pretty big role, but 20?
Right? So then the union actually made a rule that after a certain amount of callbacks, you have to start paying the actors to come in.
Well, of course you do. That's so much.
So much. Think of all the time that's given. One thing I will say, though, that is a positive or an easier thing about auditioning professionally as opposed for college auditions is that it's easier to wipe your hands of it after you're done. Like you'll go in, you'll give your best 16 bars, you'll give your best 32 bars, you leave the room, and it's way easier to go, okay, I did that, I'm done. Whereas college auditions, it's very much like, this is determining my next 4 years. Whereas in life, the truth is most of the time you'll go to audition and you're not gonna get the part. Like that's just the way that this business goes. And so it is, so they're a little less at stake with auditioning outside of the college audition process.
That made, actually, I was like putting it in all in my little mind, and now I finally get it.
Do you get it? Okay, good. Also, if I'm speaking things and you don't know what I'm saying, please ask. I can explain any of these things if I'm talking out of
the little brain.
Out of the little brain. I want to fill that little brain. Come on.
I like a ton of knowledge.
It's expanding, Maddie.
So, how about now? How has COVID affected you?
I mean, it's definitely one of the strangest times I've lived through, and I think most people have honestly lived through.
Agreed.
And yes, it's so strange, and it personally has affected me in many ways. Theater is not a thing right now because we all can't be together in that way. So it's kind of given that step back perspective of, okay, this is not there. What do I do when I'm waiting for it to come back? Which has been both scary and exciting. Like it's kind of a little bit of both of that. I sadly have lost family members to COVID. So it has affected me personally in the sense that it is something that I feel like needs to be taken very seriously. And it's disappointing to hear that some people think it's a hoax or are not taking it as seriously as they should, when I've witnessed firsthand what the disease can do or what the sickness can do. However, I also think that it is a true test of empathy in our country, because while you and I might be okay if we caught it, our grandparents might not be, or our uncles and aunts may not be. So we have to be looking out for others. And I think that is a great lesson to take out of this. Let's look out for people who might be more at risk, even if we're not at risk ourselves.
I totally agree with that. Not just like being number one, myself.
Number one, myself. Listen, I'm always looking out for myself, but it doesn't mean I can't look out for others too.
Last and final question. What advice do you have in general for young kids who want to be in the entertainment business?
Okay, so I guess there's a few things. The one I would say, don't get wrapped up in it too much, in the sense of like it's all very exciting and if it's what you love to do and you're aiming to go for it, like go for it full throttle, do it. But at the same time, keep in mind that it's still a business. And if you have heard no a lot of times, don't take it personally. That has nothing to do with your talent. That has everything to do with what they are looking for. And it's people are wonderful and kind, and sometimes people aren't wonderful and kind. And you'll find that in any business. But I think because it's theater or entertainment, we think it's all going to be funny, kind people, and you can kind of be thrown off a bit by that. So just as you are jumping into it, don't be thrown off. Just remember why you're there and don't get wrapped up too much in the show business type world. Another thing I would say is it's hard. It is a very difficult field to make something out of yourself in, and you hear no far more than you hear yes. And it's definitely, someone one time said, in this business, you make no money until you make a bunch of money. And that is kind of the case. It's not the most lucrative business to be jumping into. However, if you cannot picture yourself doing anything else but working in this business, then you got to go for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if this is all you think about, if this is what you're passionate about, if this is what lights your fire, then go for it. Give it a shot. Why not? You only have one life to live, as far as we know, and that is, and you might as well make the best out of it and go for your dreams. However, if there is something else that you do love, give that a shot too, because it is such a difficult business that it is good to have other passions outside of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but go for your dreams. Come on, that is what it's all about. And if you believe in yourself, and know that what you have to offer is just as special and cool as the person standing next to you, and also completely different, then you're golden. That's another place where I feel like people really have struggle when they're getting into this business. I also think probably specifically younger artists is the comparison. Oh, I can't. She sings like this, and so therefore I want to sing like this. Or he's doing this, so I want to do this. And like, why are they this far in their career and I'm not this far in my career? And that's only being mean to yourself. And then if you're being mean to yourself, you're not going to nail the audition. So it's all about believing in yourself, not comparing yourself to other people, and really loving what you're doing.
Well, I used to audition for a commercial and stuff, and I know, and my mom has told me multiple times they're looking for a certain look, looking for certain actions and everything, and I just think it's crazy.
It is. It really is. And honestly, it is the truth, especially when you get your hopes up, because so many times you get that audition and you are like, oh man, if I got this, that would be so cool. That would be so cool if I was in a commercial. That would be so cool if I was in this show. And then you don't get it, and that's always a bummer. Or you do get it. Or you see who did get it, and you're like, they're nothing like me. I can't believe they even brought me in for that. So it is very common to audition for something and then see who got it and be like, oh, that was nothing what I was giving. But I bet you anything, when you went in for those auditions, you nailed the audition. It had nothing to do with your talent. It had everything to do with what they were looking for, which is the name of the game in this business. You got to almost like swallow your pride sometimes and go, I'm still really good, even though I didn't get that commercial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. That was so fun to do, and you gave such great advice. And of course, we need our 3 takeaways. Number 1, the college audition is just so stressful. All you can do is do your best and get through it. Number 2, if you're only able to pick one of the trainings, make sure you pick the one that you love so you can perfect that one. Number 3, remember why you're there and don't get too wrapped up in the show business world. Thank you so much for joining me, and a Happy New Year! I can't wait to see what 2021 has in store for us. Make sure to come back next time. Bye!